I'm calling it now. Week 5, the Patriots get back in the win column. And thankfully, we're going to be live for when that happens. Patriots versus Dolphins, this time in Gillette Stadium. If you guys want to join me at noon on Sunday Eastern Time, go on ahead, hit that sub button for me because I need 25 new subscribers on this video to join this channel and come join me for some good drinks, a good tailgate, and play-by-play of the Patriots beating the Dolphins on Sunday. Some interesting news has come out of Jerod Mayo about who's going to be running back 1 for Week 5. I know for the last 4 weeks we've been talking about who's going to be the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett or Drake May, but now it's gotten to a point where Jerod Mayo just may want to flip the switch and put Antonio Gibson in to take reps in the backfield to start off the game going up against quite frankly, a struggling Miami Dolphins defense. And here's exactly what Jerod Mayo had to say from Mike Reese. He said it's definitely under consideration that running back Antonio Gibson starts over Rhamondre Stevenson on Sunday after Stevenson has fumbled in each of his first 4 games. And unfortunately, that is not a lie against every single opponent so far. And, it has been a pretty tough first half of the season, going up against some pretty tough defenses, but it's just no excuse. Ball security is job security, as the great Bill Belichick said, and Rhamondre Stevenson has now kind of fumbled the bag a little bit. And the point where Alex Van Pelt says he knows what he has to do, he knows that this is an issue, but it's come down to a point where I never thought I would make this video. I thought Rhamondre Stevenson was the only clear-cut offensive weapon that you had going into this season that I had no doubts, no concerns about. But then 1, 2, 3, 4 has started to give me concerns. It doesn't help that in week 4 as well, he ended up losing this fumble. They had turned it over, and then the 49ers ended up scoring off of that turnover possession. And then what happened? Antonio Gibson comes into play right after that for the next series because Jerod Mayo said, I'm done with it. You're going to sit on the sideline, think about what you've done, kind of putting him in timeout. It has finally come to a situation that I personally might be open looking to starting Antonio Gibson. And why? Because I never thought I was going to say that until I looked at these stats. There was a drastic dump off from week 1 and 2 to week 3 and 4. Week 1 and 2, he looked like a solid running back 1, to the point where I traded for him on my fantasy team. 46 carries, 201 yards, which ranked the top 5 of running backs through the first 2 weeks. 4.3 yards per carries, 2 touchdowns, 2 fumbles, but I'll take it because he had 2 trips to the end zone. But then in weeks 3 and 4, look at the change just between the carries. 19 carries combined, 66 yards, 3.5 yards per carry, has not seen the end zone since week 2, but he's still fumbling the football. I don't know what is going on in Rhamondre Stevenson's mind. I don't know if it's the yips. I don't know if the offensive line is just that shitty that he can't even go through the A gap, B gap, C gap, or do a wheel route. But Rhamondre Stevenson has fallen off in the last 2 weeks. But you cannot blame anybody else except for Rhamondre Stevenson when it comes to ball security. He may have just had a bad 2 weeks. He went up against a great defense, the New York Jets. He went up a great defense, the San Francisco 49ers, and had to face Nick Bosa on every single play. So I'll give him a little bit of lenience. But the ball security, that's on nobody but Rhamondre Stevenson. And I do still believe that Rhamondre Stevenson is one of your best offensive weapons in a very shaky offense right now because you're getting somebody like Kendrick Bourne back. You're trying to figure out who your top receiver is still. Jacoby Brissett has nothing in the passing game. The only thing you want to rely on is your run game. But Stevenson has started to show me that he's also falling as well. Antonio Gibson, also coming in to help out Rhamondre Stevenson, has been a huge plus. They have very similar types of running styles when it comes to just being bruising backs and falling forward. So, relying on Antonio Gibson doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. But do I think that he should start over Rhamondre Stevenson? We'll have to see. Do I think Rhamondre Stevenson is going to clean this up? Do I think he will fumble in week 5? Hell no. Why? Because I think now he's being tested. He said, I'm super tough on myself. I'm more disappointed in myself than anyone could ever be. It's very simple. I just have to hold on to the ball. And I have that mentality to come up with the ball every time. It's my job to do that, and I haven't been doing well. And I have heard you guys in the comments, I have heard you guys during my live show saying that Bill Belichick would not let this happen. Bill, obviously being more of a defensive-minded head coach, definitely doesn't want to see any excuses on offense either. But it doesn't matter because it's the Jerod Mayo era. And quite frankly, if Jerod Mayo was throwing it out there saying, hey, we might start Antonio Gibson, what kind of fire do you think that's going to light under Rhamondre Stevenson's ass? That is going to push him to be more careful with ball security. Execute it at a higher level. At least that's what I think he's going to do. Knowing that the baller that he is, he needs to be on pace for 1,000 yards again this season, and he has not done that in week 3 and week 4. So I kind of like the message that Jerod Mayo's sending. It says, get your shit together or you're going to lose your job. So I have a question here for you guys before I jump into why Antonio Gibson may end up being the starter for week 5. But my question here is, should the Patriots bench Rhamondre Stevenson? Isn't that, it sounds so weird just to even say in week 5. But type Y for yes, type N for no. I got to give a quick shout out here to our sponsors, GameTime. I love using GameTime for any and every concert, sporting event, or comedy show that I go to. I more recently bought tickets to go see Zach Bryan in August for my boyfriend. Got great seats, great price, to the point where he asked me, Allie, honestly, did you spend too much on these tickets? And I'm like, no, sir, I did not. Because with GameTime, you're going to get lowest price guaranteed. And you're going to also get credited 110% of the difference if you find out that GameTime is not lowest price guaranteed. They also have all-in pricing, which shows you the total up front. No surprise fees at checkouts. And if you guys need another reason to download this app, I've got plenty. There's a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Patriots Dolphins this coming up Sunday. If you guys want to go to Gillette Stadium, go on ahead, get your tickets today using GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. Should Antonio Gibson start against the Dolphins? That is now the question that Jerod Mayo has posed. And look, I grew up in a Commanders family. My dad was a Commanders fan. My grandfather played for the Commanders back in the 60s. So I have gotten to watch a lot of Antonio Gibson as a running back watching football with my dad. But it's been a while since I've seen Antonio Gibson be a starting running back. A while, actually, a couple years. But he was a one-year starter before Brian Robinson Jr. And then, after J.D. McKissick didn't really work out under, I'm sure, several quarterbacks and several head coaches that Washington has gone through. But let's go back to the 1 year that Gibson was the starter for a pretty shitty offensive line as well. And I can tell you that from a former Commanders fan. 258 carries for 1,000 yards in 2021. Played 16 games, averaged 4 yards per carry. He had 5 fumbles on the year, but hell, Rhamondre Stevenson's up to 4 already, and this was through 16 games. But here's the big thing. It's not the fact that Antonio Gibson can't do it. I think they can. That's why Jerod Mayo ended up picking him up in this offseason. But here's what I really think it's coming down to. I think it's a scare tactic. I do not think they're going to bench Rhamondre Stevenson. They just gave him an extension in the offseason, and they know what he's capable of. The whole team is struggling right now. I think it's a scare tactic to put a little fire under Rhamondre Stevenson's ass and says, look, you fumble this football again, I will take your ass off the field in an instant, and kind of being, a hard parent to him. He knows what ball security, how much it matters in this game. He's obviously frustrated with himself. You heard it earlier in this show. I think he plays this week. If nothing changes, then Gibson starts. But I think this is just to really poke him and see, hey, look, you want the starting job? Don't lose the football. But I do, however, really like the idea of splitting snaps between Gibson and Stevenson. It has worked in the past. We saw it in week 2 going up against Seattle when Gibson tallied on 96 yards and Rhamondre Stevenson tallied on 82. I like what New York is doing right now, using Braylon Allen, using Breece Hall. I think it could be a good 1-2 punch knowing that they have similar styles of running, but you can do different plays with them. Throw off the defense because, look, they're going to know Rhamondre Stevenson fumbles. They're going to know Jacoby Brissett cannot pass the ball. If you start mixing up the run game, it could make it a little bit more hard for the defense. But who am I? I'm not an OC, DC, or a head coach. I'm just a host of Patriots Today by Chat Sports. So pick one to start. Rhamondre Stevenson, type RS. Antonio Gibson, type AG. I'm going to go RS. I'm going to keep Rhamondre Stevenson in the game on Sunday. But if he fumbles one more time, Gibson, the job is yours. Thank God we'll be live for all of this. So you can see my live reaction if Rhamondre Stevenson does lose a football again. I need 25 new subscribers to show me that you guys want us to go live on Sunday for when the Patriots beat the Miami Dolphins in Week 5.